In this video, I'm going to be going over part 2 of the process of creating my first greeting card collection. What I want to do, I don't want to show you that yet, is I'm going to take this final painted Snowdrop, and I've already scanned him into my computer. Now I'm going to embed it into Photoshop so I can clean all this messy part up. What I want to do is go ahead, like I said, and embed that image into Photoshop. I want to remove the watercolor paper background from it because it's messy. I want to add back to the mask because once I remove that background, it's going to take away those petals because the petals are the color of the paper. Then I need to subtract from that mask to clean up the edges and forth. And then I'm going to add text in Fresco. And finally, I'll take a look at the finished scans with lettering already or words already attached to the cards. Let's get going. Now I bring my iPad back. All right, I am extending the desktop version of Photoshop. This is not the iPad version of Photoshop, but I've extended the desktop version just so that it's a little bit easier to manipulate. I've recorded this about 25 times between yesterday and today using screen shares and other things like that, and it just was falling apart. I thought let's try one more way before I give up on this video completely. What I have to do now, I have to create a new file. I'm going to tap on new file. It may take a second to open up, and it should have, oops, missed it, opened up here. What I'm gonna do is double the size of the 5x7 greeting card, and I'm creating a 10x14 size document. Let me go ahead and hit create on that, and let's bring you back here. All right, now I'm back here in the screen, and as you can see down here on the bottom, I'm kind of like highlighting and then it's going away. I'm going to click on import image. Now that is going to bring me to, and let me make sure that you can see that here. I'm going to click on scan 29, which is the same image that I showed you of the snowdrops hugging, and I'm going to place that into Photoshop. Now let's go back to look at Photoshop, and here is the image. I'm going to click on done to place that there in the image. All right, now I want to carefully expand this, and as you can see here at the bottom there is remove background. Okay, I'm going to hit remove background, and I'm going to take off, oops, what happened here? Turn off. Let me see what I did wrong. 1 second. All right, it has removed the background. I just was pushing on the wrong thing. Remove background, and now you can see that the background is indeed removed. However, there is a big chunk taken out of the mom's arm leaf, and I'm missing of her flower petals as well. What I need to do now is I need to add back to that mask. I'm going to click on add mask, which now it is highlighting the brush. Let me point that out to you right here. It's highlighting the brush tool right here. That's what I'm going to use to basically brush back in that petal that is missing. Let me put a background in that you can actually see what's happening here better. Let's put that background underneath there, and let's fill it with a dark color. Good, now we can see that a little bit better. I'm going to go back and click on my mask again, and I'm still going to be adding to that mask with the brush. I need to make it a little bit bigger for right now. There we go. It doesn't take much time. Basically, I'm just brushing back in the petals because it took away the mom's petals. It took away her arm, and it took away part of the child's arm, and it took away part of his petal as well. We want to make sure that that's all back in there. Okay, now I can go ahead and subtract from the mask that this is cleaned up better. I can take away these little dots here, but I need to now bring the size back down of the brush, and I want to come back in a little bit. The only part that's bad is that every time I touch the screen, it will do whatever the brush was going to do then. Now I'm going to take away those parts of the background that should not be there. And you can see that as I'm going to get closer to the edge here, I'm going to need to bring this brush size down so that I can really get in on the details here. Let's bring it even smaller. There we go. And then we'll just move slower. Oops, that took away too much. Let's do that a little more careful. As you can see, the process is a little slow. It can be meditative. And I can tend to get carried away and clean up a little bit too much. The nature of the watercolor and the gouache that I used is that there is texture to it, and I don't mind all that showing per se, but you can see how it will take a little bit of time and precision and patience in order to make this work. What I think I'll do now, what I'll go ahead and do now is finish cleaning this up, and then I'll come back and show it to you cleaned up in Photoshop and then go over the next steps. Be right back. Here is the cleaned up version in Fresco, not yet Fresco, Photoshop. In Photoshop. The edges have been cleaned up. I'm reluctant to touch it because every time I touch it to expand on it, it will mark it again. Let me go here and there we go, and we can head in that way. And you can see that it's all cleaned up now. Now we can move into Adobe Fresco and take it a little further there. I think this is the right one. I've got many iterations of it going on here. And yeah, I think this is the right one. It might not be. Let's show it to you here. Here, what you're seeing is I've added in type, and it's been added in with a just using regular text. Let me show you that here. All I've done is got a text box, and I'm going to change it to the font that I purchased and that it's free to use for commercial use, and I will put the link for this font down below because it's made by an illustrator, Chris Piasek, and it's great, and he has a lot of great fonts. Let me just show you what I did here. All I did here was type. Let's start the phrase, a mother's love, and let's pretend that that's the whole thing. I'm going to go and reduce the size because that's too big. Then basically what I did here was I started transferring all the words to where I wanted them to be. If I turn off this layer, I then turned on a grid that it's easier for me to manipulate or line up where I want those words to be. Can then, oops, didn't mean to do that, but I can then make sure that, okay, that I want that on the line, and I want it, to hit this line here. And I would go through the whole phrase, and that's what I did, is go through the whole phrase and line it up where I wanted it to be. In this case, I keep opening things I don't want. Decided that this was the placement that I wanted. I can turn off that grid. Now I have the same thing copied over with background that's probably the one that's going to stay. I played with different colors of the background, and then what I did with the font then was then trace over it. If I turn this layer off and I put a new layer, I think that's where it is, over the font, all I did was grab a brush and make it a good size. The smoothing's all the way up. And all I did then was go to the word, and then I should make that a little bit lighter. That just reduce the opacity. There we go. All I did was trace over the word. It's not a good color. Just to give it a little bit of a handwritten feel. You can see that if I press lightly going up and I press going down, I get that thin, thick kind of script or hand lettering style. And more pressure going down, light pressure going up. Again, more going down, light going across, more pressure, light up, heavy down. And that's what I did for all of the words. And let's take that one away and ended up with like this. And I played with other colors. That one obviously probably wouldn't make it, but yeah, there you can see. Let's take a look at the other ones that I already had the placement for the words or the text ready, and maybe still gonna play with the colors. Mom, thank you for watching over us. I may change the colors on the words, but for the most part, and change the color on the background, but for the most part, those are done there. Here's another one here. Come on, takes a minute to open up. Mother's Love is a unique link. That one's ready there as well. Okay. The next part will be part 3, where I will mock them up, to speak, into a greeting card and maybe even have one printed that I can see what it might look like. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.